despite Trump making this threat, he gave a very long lead period for it to come into effect. He said he would give Moscow 50 days until those sanctions would come in. Now, that takes us into early September and covers most of the fighting season in Ukraine. So it's very obvious here what I think what Putin is trying to do is that he's going to use all the time he's been given to try and exhaust as much as he can of Ukraine's air defenses and try and wear it down in the belief that there is still a military solution to this conflict that favors Moscow.
Now, Ukraine. The Defence Secretary John Healey is chairing the Ukraine Defence Contact Group alongside his German counterpart. Last night, Russia's aerial attacks killed 2 people in Ukraine, while Moscow claimed to down more than 100 Ukrainian drones and shut Russian airports. Catherine Philp is the World Affairs Editor at The Times. Hi to you, Catherine.
Hello, John.
Hi. So, another heavy bombardment from drones and missiles from Russia into Ukraine. I mean, the lesson's clear, isn't it, Catherine, that despite that ultimatum from Donald Trump to Vladimir Putin, come to the table, come to negotiate, or you're going to be hit by heavy sanctions, Putin and his forces have just done the opposite. They've escalated the volume of the assaults.
They have once again. One of the issues is that despite Trump making this threat, he gave a very long lead period for it to come into effect. He said he would give Moscow 50 days until those sanctions would come in. Now, that takes us into early September and covers most of the fighting season in Ukraine. So it's very obvious here what I think what Putin is trying to do is that he's going to use all the time he's been given to try and exhaust as much as he can of Ukraine's air defenses and try and wear it down in the belief that there is still a military solution to this conflict that favors Moscow. And
it's not at all clear yet, Catherine, and you were sceptical about this at the time, I remember, because we spoke immediately after that ultimatum was laid down. It's not clear as and when, if and when, Putin makes some sort of concession towards Trump's demands, what that concession will truly amount to.
Indeed, or whether Trump will actually make good on his threat. I mean, we've seen him do this several times with different threats against different countries, not just in terms of sanctions, but also tariffs, that kind of thing. What his position will be on a much more punitive action that's going through the Senate right now, or is certainly being backed by various senators, which would put much more stringent sanctions on countries that do business with Russia. So what John Healey's doing today when he's chairing this contact group meeting with Ukraine it's a virtual meeting, and there is American representation there. Pete Hegseth, the defense secretary, he's not known for his warmth towards Ukraine or his sympathies, is in attendance. And what Healey and his German counterpart are trying to do is to get all the European countries to pledge to buy American equipment as quickly as they can within these 50 days, so that when they expire, there will be this pressure on Moscow to come to the table, knowing that Ukraine has those things, that equipment and those pledges already in its corner.
Right. And in the background, of course, you've got this dependence, which is still there on the part of Europe, on American weaponry, because Europe, no part of Europe, no member of NATO has anything like the kind of defense capacity when it comes to building weapons that it will need, especially if America starts to pull away.
That's correct. And that's always been one of those issues that makes it, a conundrum for Europe about whether they really should be so reliant on American weapon systems for their own sake, as well as for Ukraine's. But in the short term, there's no other substitute for things like Patriot air defenses. So they need them. But on the flip side, this does, of course, appeal to Donald Trump's transactional side, that although he, is getting behind Ukraine by permitting these systems to be sent to them, he's not paying for them anymore. This isn't American money, it's American weapons. So from his perspective, he could see this, this is a sort of supporting the Americans' arms trade with European financing. And that also works to some extent for the Europeans, because they've got to get their spending up to 5% as promised, 5% of GDP as promised at the NATO summit to placate Trump. Well, this kind of spending for Ukraine on American weapons counts towards that level of spending. So it could be win-win for everyone concerned.
Right. Now, I know generally, Catherine, you're more closely concerned with world diplomacy and the geopolitical map than questions of military hardware. But it got big headlines when Donald Trump said, look, you can have Patriot air defense missiles in Ukraine. He's going to sell them to NATO members and they can pass them on to Ukraine. Is there any suggestion that Ukraine is getting or will get the volume of those missiles, those high-tech missiles, very offensive, that it needs?
I mean, it already has Patriots, but it doesn't have enough of them. That's the problem. And, these huge kind of swarm attacks that we've seen happening, like the one last night over Ukraine, are a naked attempt by Moscow to exhaust those Patriot batteries of the ammunition that they have. So Germany today has confirmed that it will pay up for 5 new batteries. So that's promised. It's how quickly they can get them in place. I mean, a lot of it's whether you take what's in country somewhere else, whether you backfill then from America. There's some suggestion that Switzerland may have some capacity to pass things on to Ukraine that it can use whilst it backfills its own. So there is these things are never happen in the snap of a finger, as they take weeks, if not months, to get in place. So this is really what's happening today, is that Healy and Pistorius are talking up, let's get that stuff to Ukraine within this 50 days and then see what happens.
Catherine, always great to get your thoughts. Thank you. Catherine Philp there, World Affairs Editor at The Times.
Just thinking, we have a president of the United States doing the selling. Do you think Biden would be doing it? I don't think so. But it's so important. I think I have to be a cheerleader for our country. That's why our country is doing so well. And it's people like this that make it work, and we appreciate it. Great job at Cleveland Clinic. It's leaders, 3 leaders in particular that we saw over the last 3, 4 days, 5 days. And they're great people. They're great people, and they love our country, and we love them. So it's been a tremendous time, and now it's time to go back home. My daughter had a baby. I'm going to go back home and see that little baby. And then we get back to a lot of work. We'll see what happens with Russia and Ukraine. I think it's something that is just, we got to stop the killing. 5,000 people a week, 5,000 young people a week on average being killed in a war that is going nowhere. It's a shame. Should have never happened. But we have other things to do also. Plus we have an Iran situation, which we're going to take care of. One way or the other, we're taking care of. It'll be taken care of 100%. It'll be done nicely or not nicely. And the not nicely is not a good thing for them. And I think we're talking to them, and I think they've come a long way. So I just want to thank, the media's been very fair, I have to say. And they realize the importance of what we've done here. And it really is, and it's an honor. And it's sort of easy for me because I know the people. I've known them. I've known your father for a lot longer than I've been in politics, because I did have another life. That was a very good life and a very successful life. But this is something that's really successful because we're doing it for 325 million people. And the United States now is the hottest country anywhere in the world. And you see that even with enlistments, military enlistments setting records. 6 months ago, you couldn't get anybody to go into the military, and so many other things. So we're just doing great. We have probably, I was saying 2 days ago, we have $10 trillion of investment, and now the 10 trillion is probably 12 or 13, I think, Scott and Howard. I think we're probably looking at 10 to now we're looking at 13, maybe $13 trillion. These are numbers that nobody's ever, even you guys, you've never heard of numbers. These are numbers that nobody's ever heard of before.
We're not as big as the United States, Mr. President.
You're not. You better not be.
We punch above our weight.
You do. Yes, he does. No, he didn't show up because he heard Putin wasn't going. So
when do you think you'll meet President Putin?
As soon as we can set it up. I would actually leave here and go. I do want to see my beautiful grandson, it's a son, and we'll be doing that. But I will tell you that the world is a much safer place right now, and I think in 2 or 3 weeks we could have it be a much safer place. We're going to handle a couple of situations that you have here. We have some very serious situations, and we're looking at Gaza, and we got to get that taken care of. A lot of people are starving. A lot of people are. There's a lot of bad things going on. Okay. Thank you all very much, and in particular, I want to thank you.